Stream, the live stream series where I continue to develop this adorable Souls-like action RPG with platform mechanics and a branching narrative and multiple endings. If you want to watch these dev streams on your own time, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell button to stay notified. Now, sorry if I'm fumbling my words a little bit at the start of tonight, chat, but I can't contain my excitement because I've actually been making some good progress in the background with Heartwell. So, while we're not seeing it here, it is actually possible for us to go into full screen mode when we start the game from the beginning. I'm just running this particular frame to show Bardoff well a little bit. But, more importantly, I've been doing some things off stream, aim to be working towards continuing to implement the full screen rework with the other stuff that needs to be done. For example, in particular, the text. Now, right now, the text looks a bit weird. So this is kind of what the text looks like right now. It's off center, it doesn't look right, and when we zoom in properly, it'll just look kind of odd. So with that in mind, I have been working a bit off stream to try and keep things moving a bit forward. So what you see here, chat, are a bunch of the different, well, some of them are, we have various fonts here. So as you can see, some are more brightly colored, some are darker colored. But the point is that these are effectively custom fonts. So up here are the default ones, down here are some modified ones, and these will eventually be replacing the fonts that we see in Heartwell at the moment so that they look better. Now, one of the challenges is the font follows a very specific image structure, and when I try to make a text that's a bit larger than this default text, it doesn't overlay quite right. So in this case, I'm trying to make fonts that look more in line with what the current dialogue in Heartwell looks like. But the result is it doesn't. You're supposed to put the letters and characters in a specific order so these text splitter objects will call up the exact items needed. But for some reason, when we get to a larger larger values, it does seem to get a bit confused and go a bit off center. So, to give you an example, let's say for the sake of argument that I was trying to display an exclamation mark, as seen here by my magnifying glass. When I put it in game, because it's a larger font size, it actually goes over to the next tile and displays, it displays the character that's in this spot. So as a result, I have to shift the text over a little bit. Now, it might seem like an easy enough fix, but it's not all exactly lined up. So for example, you might say, why is there a blank space here? There's nothing up here. That's because in some instances, certain segments are actually pushed further away in an order that doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. So it's like when we're displaying, it's like it went from left parentheses to the star sign without the right parentheses, which is just odd. So, so right now I've gotten it into a decent enough state. I've actually been using this frame right here. This was the frame I used to test the delete function, but right now, this is the text splitter objects for the normal dialogue text. And, well, that's what it looks like with the default text splitter text, but so I throw this on frame, and I have a little icon here. It's actually kind of close, so if I press the B button will force this to go to what this says. Or not. Sorry, the N button, there it is. So you'll see, long ago, humankind lived in the heavens, sheltered in the paradise of Elysium. What's all good? So it's like 90% there, there's just one thing we're missing, and that is... So right here. We are missing the apostrophe. But once we have that, we'll effectively have all we need for the default text. And try, believe me when I say this was a lot more confusing than it needed to be, but that's okay because it's at least starting to get there. Now, in order to get that apostrophe there, normally what is done is I have to put the apostrophe below the R. However, because weird stuff has been happening here, I don't think it'll be that simple. So what we're going to do, chat, we're going to play a little game of scavenger hunt here. And it's going to work something like this. So, when we're going to start by placing the apostrophe symbol in just about every spot we can think of, and we're going to slowly delete it from the font until we find the exact location it needs to be at, since we're kind of at the trial and error phase at this point. So, to keep things nice and simple, let's copy paste that. So, just going to make it this entire line down here. All right. Let's see if that works. Also, welcome, Copper Nicholson. Thank you so much for dropping by. I hope work's going well. All right. So let's go on over here. Copy that in. Press OK. Hopefully it's all good. Okay, I don't see the apostrophe yet. At least not in the default text, so that's not a good sign. But let's see if the thing goes any better. Oh, there it is, chat. Look at that. We found the apostrophe's there. So since the apostrophe is displayed, that means we found a spot for it. The question is, which spot is the correct spot? So I have a hunch that it might be the one underneath the S, for the sole reason that that is that would be shifted over by one tile. So let's see if my hypothesis is correct. Okay, so let's get to this line right here. And yes, okay, called it. So with that, we have ourselves fully functioning dialogue text, or at least functioning for our purposes. We don't need like specific like random blocks or other characters. We're just interested in, like, you know, basic alphabet plus numbers and a couple of you know, a little bit of punctuation. That will probably be more than sufficient for dialogue. All right. So this, ladies and gentlemen, will be our new font orientation for any font that's larger than 8x8 pixels. So, without further ado, let's head back over to our to-do list. Need to remove that, so that's all working properly. Highlight that. We have dialogue text, we have manifest text. What that leaves is so we copy over the new fonts into the text blur objects. We test each text blur object to make sure it displays text properly. That's what we were doing in this frame here. And now, let's see, I believe that means we're onto the stage of having to identify where the text blur objects need to be implemented and then actually implementing things. So that's going to be a fun endeavor, because there are since Heartwell is a very story-heavy game, there are many places that would require this, including places that previously used only either default text objects, such as the manifest UI itself. But this is on the flip side, chat, while this will take quite a bit of time to accomplish, once it is all done, we will actually have, you know, the capability to add our own custom fonts, which will be nice in case we ever decide for any particular reason that that's necessary. I know, like, Undertale, for example, uses different fonts to distinguish different characters. I don't think I want to go quite that far in terms of like different fonts, just because this does take developing these different fonts takes a little bit of time. But it is an option. It's an avenue. It's available. Now, all that being said, let's make sure we're identifying. So identify. Are the test player objects? All right, so copy over the applicable that's blitter objects, the frames that require them, adjust. Right now I'm just planning ahead. Adjust the original dialog code or text display in each app in each frame to reference text blitter objects instead of display text objects when all code has test the text blitter objects in each frame. And then finally, when all previous display text code has been converted to text blitter code, delete the display text object from each frame. Do not delete the storage text object, since that is required for displaying dialog in the text blitter objects. Alright, we have some actions, chat. I'll start by identifying where the new text blitter objects need to be implemented. So first, main menu frame. Well, I'm just, right now I'm going from memory in terms of what frames will probably need them, then we'll dive into where specifically needs them. So we have the main menu frame, we have the opening cutscene frame, then we have the test frame, barred off well, we'll call it the central well. Well, barred off well. Depths. Alright. I don't think the creds need anything, so that'll be all good. Yeah, so not bad to it. Let's see. Hello, Quinn. Thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? Quinn asks, what's the plan today, Antomicx? Well, the plan is going to be to identify areas that need text blitter objects. So the text blitter objects will effectively be our new display text objects. And there are a lot of strings in Heartwell, as there's a lot of alterable text in this game. So the first thing we do is, like we did for in the, we're actually going to start with a bit of a planning phase here, just identifying every major section that needs the changes. And you might say, Antomicx, isn't that a lot of writing? Yes. However, bear in mind, we did that for the full screen rework, and that is, and that ended up being enormously helpful because it made us make a lot fewer mistakes and attempt to do things. Also, that is a Pinky and the Brain reference. I get that reference. Anyway. So, first things first, menu frame. Now, as you can see, chat, by the Lord, many, he made save file objects. These are all going to need to be converted into text-splitter objects because currently, these are used for all the save file menus. So as you see, that's a lot. So from what I can see, how close does it get you to releasing the patch? I mean, unfortunately, like when I originally said that things would come out in maybe the next couple of months, I didn't realize how much of an endeavor this text blitter thing would be. So unfortunately, I can't quite say at this point because I don't want to release a new patch with all the text looking odd because it's just such a fundamental part of the game. So I'd say it definitely pushes things back a bit, but counterpoint is that this is, this gives us a lot more control over what text looks like since we can quite literally make our own custom fonts. So there's definitely a long-term benefit to this. It's just adapting it all is going to take some time. So first obvious note, I think here, let's see, that's 1, 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay, so I think there are 17 different text objects here that will need to be adjusted. So display string change to Copper Nicholson's asked, who's my favorite character from MLP? I believe I've answered that question before. But from what I've seen so far, I would say Fluttershy. Yeah. Besides that, Copper Nicholson, you might be interested to hear this. Off stream, I actually have been working on some of the planning and UI for a quit button in Heartwell. So essentially, the idea would be, first of all, from the main menu to allow the player to quit the application from within the application and not have to close the window, since if you're going to be in full screen, you won't be able to easily get to that anyway. And the second area that would have a quit button would actually be a new tab in the manifest. So you can see some old UI here, but the intent would be that there would be a button over here that would say something like quit menu or something, and it would basically give you the option, much like in the Souls games, to either quit from the game immediately or just return to the main menu. That's the intent anyway. Something I did want to ask you all, chat, though, is on I know in the Souls games, they tend to display at least some basic information about your save file. In the quit menu, things like time played and things to that effect. I was curious if there's any UI you guys think should be on like a menu page like that. Just bear in mind, it's going to be using the same overall manifest UI structure here, so obviously there'll be a little blurb here for various little bits of lore and text, and there'll be the 2 buttons here, but I feel like that would be a pretty bare bones menu. I'm not sure if there's any other UI I ought to consider displaying on that menu, or if just keeping it a simple quit to desktop and quit to main menu is sufficient. Hello, Jay. Thanks for dropping by. How's it going? Recommendations are time played, weapons collected, maybe bosses fought. That's death count. you know what? Yes, we do need a death counter. Like, is it really a Souls game without a death counter? Okay. All right, hold on. We need to I need to write this down somewhere. Okay, yeah, here's a good spot. Add a quit button to the main menu and the manifest. For the manifest quit menu UI, consider adding the following information. Time played. I will say with time played, my one hesitancy for time played is that it is a statistic that has to update constantly, and I don't want that to lag the game. Now, to be fair, counters are used all the time in programming. I'm just thinking like having that as something that's on the background constantly being checked. It could be one of those things that could be kind of performance intensive if one isn't careful. So that time played is a bit of a question mark. I think I don't think it really makes sense to display like what specific weapons are collected, because you kind of have the weapon tabs to do that, but maybe number of weapons collected, just kind of like what's on the main menu. We also see like number of bosses defeated. That might be a fun thing to note. I honestly almost wonder if I should distinguish like the different types of bosses for it. So instead of like number of bosses defeated, it could be like you know, normal bosses, archbeasts, you know, etc. Then the death counter, I think that definitely needs to be there. Absolutely, 1000%. Just as a reminder of how many times. Remember, the reason we have a death counter, chat, is not to say how many times you've fallen, it's to show how many times you've gotten back up. Because Heartwell's is a game about getting back up, for sure. So 100% needs a death counter. If you guys have any other ideas, let me know. But in the meantime, I'll be heading back to identify these. So display strings changed to the what was the name of that object? Normal dialogue. Yeah. It's in your death counter. You are filled with determination. Oh no. Gosh, that. Chat. You do realize that because it is manifest UI, I have a little section where I can write potentially some of Dorothy's thoughts. You guys realize how much power that gives me? What memes should I put in there? Oh gosh. Could have a funny reference to Undertale's famous fills you with determination line if the player hovers their cursor over this. All right, that's a silly idea. I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm just writing that down as a potential idea. That's just where my mind goes. I mean, I'm all for making reference to Undertale. I think Undertale's a fantastic game. Definitely one worth playing if you haven't tried it before. I mean, let's see here. What was this? I lost my train of thought. Anyway. So I was identifying normal dialogue. That's right. Their objects and adjust applicable code. 16 different save file display objects. Change to, I think, which one was it? Do I want the default text or do I want the manifest text? I don't want the manifest text. Touch blur default white, yeah. All right, so that's the main menu, at least in principle. Obviously, it's going to get a lot more complicated very quickly because, I mean, just as an example, chat, if I go to the main menu, I go to my code, and I search for, let's see here, display string. You will notice that's honestly a lot fewer lines of code than I would have thought. Oh, wait a minute, chat. You know what it is? Aha! So, what this is, chat, is I tied a lot of my code, like timing-wise for animation, sound effects, etc., to the storage string, because the storage string is off-frame, and it kind of dictates what specific piece of text is being displayed. A side effect of that means it'll actually be a lot easier to adjust the display string code because it's used a lot fewer times. You'll notice, like, I barely have to scroll to see all the instances where it's called up. Okay, that is a relief. Yes, like, I was thinking this would be like another nightmare, like it was with the full, like, just getting the game to go full screen. But it's just going to be more of a headache than a nightmare. Code is simply how you play it. Something isn't right here. I know, right? Listen, I have posted a meme. I'm sure some of you have been on my Discord server long enough know of it, where it's like, anyone who's seen the meme from like Despicable Me, where Gru has like the giant pieces of paper for displaying his evil plan, and it's like, okay, panel 1 explains something, panel 2 explains why it's a good idea, panel 3 rips off a page, is super excited, panel 4 takes a look at his panel, very confused. And in that one, I think what I said was I was describing some bit of code, but the joke was it works exactly as intended on the first try, and then I have myself looking at it like, it works exactly as intended on the first try, because that never happens. If anything, like, if something works too perfectly, I almost get suspicious about it. It's like, is this a fluke? Is this going to just completely collapse later? That's what this feels like right here. But it's a nice relief, nice change of pace. Unfortunately, it does not change the fact that I have 16 other frames I have to go through. Oh gosh, this is going to take a while. But that's all right. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. I should make rename these objects based on the display text objects that they are replacing, since this is necessary to keep track of which string displays which portions of the save file information. Alright. Next up, this is not Fusion. Next up, the opening cutscene. Alright, now the good news, chat, is we actually don't have to adjust, the dialogue choice objects, because those are actually, these are actually active objects, so I actually have to hand edit these. So, in this case, hand editing is our friend because it doesn't require edits. But what will require edits is the display string. Thankfully, that will hopefully be a similar process to the main menu. So you got the display string, and then as soon as we get to the text frame, this is when things get a little more complicated, because I'm now realizing that there's also that counter we use for... Actually, what does the counter look like? Hold on. It's okay. But I think, yeah, we could do better. Actually, no. We do not settle for just assuming things are okay. We check things thoroughly. So let's run the application real quick. And I'll just sure, why not? Okay, yeah, no. So chat, you see, this is what the game looks like in quote unquote ultimate full screen mode, and you'll notice that the test looks a bit odd because we're zoomed in now and you can see just all the imperfections in it. Same thing with here, like, ew, it's weird. So this is why we're doing the rework. But on the flip side also, full screen hype. Of course, it looks a bit bizarre in I'm now realizing there's a mistake here. It looks a bit odd and OBS is not displaying this, right? Let's see here. I want to say this. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, chat. This is is anything displaying or that did it freeze? So this is what the game looks like when you're in quote-unquote ultimate full screen mode. Now it's kind of hard to see because you're it has a black outline here, but the ultimate full screen object isn't true full screen, but it is kind of what the best that Fusion 2.5 can do. So you'll notice like my cursor can go off screen here. That's because, you know, at the edges of where it's zoomed in, it just fills it in with a color of your choice. So in my case, I chose black just because it fits with kind of the theming. But essentially what this is doing is this is just taking what is a 640 by 360 pixel image and then scaling it up by a factor of 2, and it looks great. But conversely, because in order to do this, I had to use DirectX 11, and while it does provide some performance improvements, it also makes the text look weird because it's using a different engine than what it's used to. So notice now everything's completely out of whack with the text, and that's why we're making our custom fonts. And that's going to have to include our little healing, I believe it's called healing charges. Yeah, our healing charge counter up here. Anyway, so that in mind, let's close that window. Turn back on the music. So for the test frame, you make the notes. What do I even change it with? They make a... Yeah, honestly, I think we just stick with the text player manifest object, just this version. Unless it... Actually, no. I should check the font. I need to check the font. Okay, it's a different font. Alright, it needs to be smaller. We know it needs to be smaller. So let's go with... Actually, wait, what am I doing? I don't have to guess with this. I can just... I just copy that. Paste it in here. And we'll just compare it directly. Because we can do that. Alright, so if I put like a 0 here. Actually, kind of too small there. Interesting. Alright. How about here? Ooh, I like that. Look at that, chat. I mean, obviously this O is a bit larger. But compared to, like, this, which would look a bit odd. Hit it 0, it worked. Up, chat! We got ourselves a bot! We got ourselves a bot, Copper! Copper Nettleson is your moment to shine! Wield thy powers and vanquish the bot! Alright there, Copper Nettleson. If not, I'll take care of it during the break, but... Anytime, chat, if you're watching this, be sure to spam your favorite emotes. We must drown out the bots. We must not let the bots take things over. Alright, so what I'm thinking is we'll use this object. Oh dear. Awesome. Go get him, Copper! And the bot has been vanquished. Let's give everyone some hearts in chat for Copper Nicholson and for taking care of that bot. Thank you, Copper. All right. So that's the healing charge counter, which we'll just put up there for the time being. Da-da-da. Actually, do I have the ability to edit what the toners look like? I feel like they're... So if I do numbers... Oh, wait a minute. I just made my own custom counter and it would be pretty easy. Do one of the following. Change the counter type to numbers. This counter. Yep. So what I didn't realize is that with the counters, it might actually be easier just to edit the counters directly so we don't have to adjust the code. This would allow you to not have to adjust the code too much for the healing charge counters. All right, next up, we got ourselves okay. So we go back to the testing frame. We have, is that the display string? No, it's the storage string. Where's my display string? I feel like we have to have a display string somewhere. Oh, there it is. Yeah. No, display string is same concept. Then the all-important manifest stuff. So, oh dear, how many strings is that? 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I know there's 12, but this 12th one has to be a unique font, so. Okay, so we have 11 different manifest UI display strings changed to the text player manifest text 01. Adjust the applicable code. Oh, we also have to rename the I'll rename that and adjust the applicable code. And then, of course, don't want to leave out the italicized help out string, which has a unique unique font to it. Which also seems I have not copied over yet. So we will need to do that. Called manifest italicized help dot string. Change to, let's see here. Dorothy, manifest UI string. And adjust the applicable code. But first we need to create that, so let's go through that process. So chat, you'll actually kind of get to see the process I do when I attempt to bring in a new font. So first we go to our little testing frame down here. Now, for this font, I believe it's that one. Requires 9x9 spacing, and this could be another nightmare. So it doesn't quite line up with everything else. Let's input. Just for inputs to 9x9. Oh, also chat, by the way, another thing I've been doing off stream is I've started working on some of the level design for areas past Heartwell in the full game. Now, but in order to do this, I've decided to start using pencil and paper and some graphing paper for at least the initial rough ideas. And the reason for that is I don't know what it is, but just writing with a pencil and paper seems to help get my ideas out a bit more. I actually found myself writing a bunch of notes that I would not otherwise be writing if I were simply in the tiled map editor, throwing throwing tile sets all over the place. And it actually led to me unironically writing some additional lore for some of the new basic enemy types and areas past Heartwell. So, moral of the story, chat: if you find yourself in a creative endeavor and you feel like it is challenging to focus or things like that, or you feel like maybe trying to work on with electronics is being a bit difficult, there's no harm in going back to pencil and paper. Like sometimes a change of tools or a change of what you're using can help get the creative juices flowing in ways you couldn't possibly have anticipated. All right, so we got this font. Everything has to be 9x9, so there's that. I think that'll work. In theory, possibly, conceivably. Well, let's give it a try. Let's start with our text splitter objects. Clone this object. We shall name this Dorothy Manifest UI string. Or we'll rename it that. Okay. And now, so the first thing we do, chat, is we throw in the new image. Now, this probably will not go well, but we're going to try it. Okay. And as we can see, it already doesn't quite look right, but that's okay because part of the char map is actually editing this, so it has to be 9x9. And now you see, obviously, everything's all over the place. So, let's start by first getting our little, this. So this is just a list of all the text in order, plus the word "the" at the end, just as a reference. And as you can see, we are once again in a state where things are all over the place and don't make any sense. So, the first thing we do, chat, when things are all over the place and don't make any sense, is we adjust the this. I think it's at 279. So now that we've done that, things are still all over the place and don't make any sense. But this is where our adjustments have to come into play. So just as with this, I had to make some adjustments, so too I will have to make adjustments here. Because, again, this is what it should be saying, that's what's actually saying, so we just have to adjust where things are. So we can get the font we actually want. Although, I am going to have to test it first in up here, because when the font is read off a storage string, it can often look a bit different, at least in a couple of areas. So that's what we have to reference from, not what we see here, but what we'll see when it's displayed. So go to our little test area. All right. We'll throw this on over here. All right, so chat, when I press the letter B, what's going to happen is there's a stringed off screen that says this, what should be the same thing as is displayed here. And okay, well, that's an example of showing that the icon can change. But essentially, that is our text map there. So next thing I do, I'm just gonna take a little screenshot, chat, throw this in graphics jail. I'll be right back. Okay. Alrighty, welcome back everyone. Apologies for that. As you can see, I have taken a screenshot from the game, plopped it on here in graphics scale, and that is essentially what we'll be using to make our text adjustments. So this is kind of the stuff I've been doing off stream to try and get these larger fonts working correctly. So in our case, we have this font here. It doesn't quite look the way we want it. Let's scroll on down, find some space for ourselves. And alternatively, we could just expand out here to the right. So, let's see here. First thing I do, we take the outline layer, we're going to expand that a bit. This needs to be to the edge here, so we know what we're looking for. All right, and then we'll copy pasta that again, just we're going to be making a new font. Well, new-ish font. I mean, it's the same font, but just different locations. Alright, and to keep ourselves sane, We'll copy the font over here so we know what we're working with at all times. All right. So, first things first, we know for certain, 100%, that what should be displaying the exclamation point here, so this top first slot, it's showing the quotation marks. Which means we have to shift everything one to the right. So I actually did a similar thing here, so you'll notice the same sort of thing happened where quotation marks popped up. I shift the exclamation part to the right and it displays properly. So, same idea. Let's go to new font 2. Now, it looks like that'll work at least for up to here. So, do something like that. Then what we do is we have to add a space because something odd is happening there, and then continue directly from there. We do that all the way through. Now what happens there is that goes off frame, so we actually bring that down to the left and loop it back around. We have an A. Now I went with exclamation point there, but when I put the B there, it seemed to fit it all. So yeah, I believe this might be a simple case of plug everything in and hope for the best. All right. So chat, let's give this font a try, or at least this font layout a try. So we'll go over here. We have to edit that char map. Oh, not that, but yeah, this. Boop. Ah, and look at that, chat. Seems to be working as intended. I mean, I think we still need the apostrophe. I see it there, but I don't know if it's all quite set up properly. Let's see here. That might be the backwards apostrophe. Well, regardless. Let's take it for a test run though. Okay. So I press B. Okay, the apostrophe goes away, which means that we need to make some adjustments. That's okay. It's the same process as before. So first we need an apostrophe. For our purposes, that'll be this. With only one. There can only be one. Try to center that. Yeah, that's roughly center. Now, I'm going to take the wild guess here that it'll be under the S again, like it was in the previous area, but that might be a bit of a stretch. Actually, no, it does go the bracket at the end, doesn't it? Yeah. Bracket and... Okay, you know, it might be the S again, so let's try that out. I swear, if this works as intended, I'm going to be really shocked. All right. All right, running frame. Now you press the V. Okay, well that goes away. That's to be expected. What we're going to do now, chat, is skip ahead to something where I know there's an apostrophe. And... What? Look at that, chat. You see that apostrophe there? That means we got it right. We got it right. Look at that. We've learned something today, chat. We've learned something. For funsies. Miraculous contraptions for civilian lives became deadlier weapons than the sharpest knives. By the time the war approached month 10, metal monsters outnumbered bad. That's hard to read against that background, but that's okay. Right, it looks like it's working properly. Let's see the opening. Yes, look at that. Long ago, humankind lived in the heavens, shelter in the Paris of Elysium. We got the text working, chat. Look at that. It's glorious. It's glorious. All right. We have the Dorothy text. Dorothy text acquired. Which means back to planning. All right. So we're on the test frame. We're thinking through different text boxes that show up. I think those are all the text boxes that aren't like custom things, that are just animations as opposed to things requiring the text blur object. So, yeah. And the good news is the areas that these edits are necessary, while the code will be different, the general principle will be the same in all the others, since the test frame is kind of like a, you know, a template for that the levels are built off of. So that'll apply for rough wells, lower well, central well, and depths. All right, we've identified the general areas that need this. Let's say just simplicity. Say we've identified them, they're identified below. All right. Yeah. So you have to copy things over. Right. Yeah, I think we start here because there are so many. So many. Okay. All right. That and need that. All right. You make sure we put these on the. All right, they are on level 1. Not to be confused with our crosscode challenge run. All right. So with this, we'll actually put this up here. This is more directly involved. We'll name you display dialog text blitter. Oh, this is actually, dang it, I'm on the wrong frame. There we go. As for our manifest test, well, not manifest test, save file test, we have a lot to copy over. So for the sake of simplicity, I'll say the or text. Okay, so I'm not sure if this will fit, but we'll see. It might not fit. Especially with some of the information we have to display. Yeah, I don't think it'll all fit. But would the other font fare any better? Not really. Might have to make. Well, we'll test it out, but I get the feeling it might not be sufficient. Let me test whether. Another narrow custom font. All right. Now let's call this save file player levels 1. Six. Oh wait, 180. 23. Yep. Well, player levels. Right now I'm just going through the renaming process. Chat. All right. I have to repeat the same process, but for melee, ranged, and wisdom. So much renaming, so little time, chat. Apparently F2 is the hotkey to open up the ability to rename, so that's nice. I'll speed this up just a smidge. Yeah, whenever you're using any software for a repetitive task, learning the hotkeys can really make a huge difference in how quickly you can accomplish certain tasks. Yeah, as an example, a fairly simple one that I use all the time is Control-C and Control-V to copy and paste stuff. Especially if I have to like copy and paste the same number throughout a bunch of different sections of code. Like, same number, same equation. There. Everything closer. Nice. Alright. Alright, last batch, chat. Nice. All right. All right. Well, we've renamed all those. We'll continue from here, chat. Okay. So chat, I think that'll be a good spot to wrap things up. We had a nice productive stream tonight. We focused a lot on the text blur objects, we debugged a font, and now we're starting to get towards actual implementation here. So, with that being said, I think this will be a good spot to wrap things up. So if you're watching on Twitch, feel free to stick around for raid. Or if you're watching YouTube and you like what you saw, please consider subscribing on YouTube. It's free to subscribe on YouTube, can only change my layer, and it's a great way to show support. If you're watching YouTube, have an amazing night.